Welcome, Patrick and James from Farrow, and I'm from the rug company. Patrick, do you want to say a little bit about yourself and your role at Farrow before we get
Yeah.
started?
So I'm Patrick O'Donnell. I'm International Brand Ambassador at Farrow. So essentially, I'm one of kind of four spokespeople for the business, and I kind of prioritize with interior decorators or designers, depending on which part of the world you're based. And I do stuff for press, and I kind of do talks. So generally, kind of front-facing representative of F&B.
Wonderful. Well, I'm delighted to have this opportunity to speak to you today about the Farrow Rug Company collection. And I think, you know, when I was, we both rely on so much of our business with the trade and appreciate so much the designer's involvement in picking out the exact perfect color for their clients.
Yeah.
And I have to say that when I was actually before I joined the rug company, I had a lot of, well, I had my house in Henley in the English countryside. I think in the end I used about 25 different Farrow colors. And I found it was so hard to find rugs. This is before I was at the rug company, to match and coordinate with these colors. And it was crazy because you would pick all the different hues and you would find different rug samples and you'd try to put it against the Farrow colors, and they just weren't right, because I know, you know, people that like me that are such huge fans of Farrow. You want the rugs to look great with the paint on the wall. And so when I joined the rug company, when I joined when I joined the rug company, I'm getting so excited about joining Farrow.
Yeah, come and work for us, James. We'd love you.
I said, "Wow, what about color coordinating rugs with paint colors?" And it seemed that was something that resonated. The more I spoke to designers, and the more I spoke to you guys, the more it seemed like something that people thought was a really interesting and compelling idea. And so I thought maybe we could just start off by talking about color. You know much more about it than I do, but just this amazing vision that your company has for color and how you think that translates into some of the products that we've created, some of which are behind me.
Yeah, and I'll try and do kind of a brief kind of pressy on color, and then we can talk about the relationship between the rugs and the paint, because I think what's so lovely is your collection, rather being a contrived match, is sorry, I've got pesky Microsoft Office open. I just shut it down again. You haven't gone for the contrived match, the absolute purity of color. So I think what's so lovely is probably the reason why you struggling to find colors is because our paint's quite nuanced. You know, a lot of the colors are quite reduced in terms of they're slightly knocked back. You know, they all have a little bit of dose of black in them that kind of whips out any intensity and kind of that clean color, which we don't really do. You know, when people want clean colors or true color, ours are much more nuanced, and you know, sort of there's so many different elements, you know, in different lights. You know, you'll know that having used our product. And so what's so lovely with the rug collection from you is there's kind of a marriage without kind of feeling twee and sort of too coordinated. And I think that's really important, you know. And you've obviously worked, you know, we both worked around the collection in terms of honoring our neutral groups, which is essentially an easy shopping start point rather than sort of something set in stone, if that makes sense. So there's much more flexibility with the collection, you know, and cross-pollinating to different colors. But I think it's that start point, isn't it, for people who are maybe even afraid of color? Because you'll probably know, but I would imagine for you, as it is for us, most people are much more comfortable in kind of the off-whites and sort of soft neutral. But I think by introducing all these kind of reduced, I mean, I've got all the samples scattered. Literally, I look like a bomb's gone off in my room, but I've got all these samples everywhere with our color boards. You know, and I was playing around with them earlier, and it's amazing how much they sort of mix through the whole collection. And, you know, and despite all the neutral groups, take all the neutral groups out of it, you know, they just balance really well with some of our stronger colors. So, you know, going back to the original Farrow palette, you know, it's a very, very edited and not controlled, and we don't often change our colors. You know, we have such belief in the integrity of our palette, and I think your rugs honor that. You know, there's nothing over zeitgeisty or over sort of cool now. You know, it's just they're all very classic and very elegant.
No, I completely agree. It's, you know, it's a real joy for our design team to work with your teams as well too, to really work on those colors and what is the you know, what are the perfect neutral colors to go to complement the paint colors, but also what are the sort of more exciting pops of color that you can also add to your environment at home. We so we set about doing, as you know, Patrick, the 12 colors in 6 neutrals and 6 colors, colorful rugs to complement.
Some of them are elegantly draped behind you.
Yes, yep, and these are in 3 different styles. So these are the wool with the beautiful silk border rugs that we have on the wall, and we have the cut and loop, and then we have a cut pile as well too. So we have 3 different rugs. We've added 3 recent colors with this beautiful bay blue you probably have as well as gorgeous pink color as well too.
I have it here.
There you are. Yes, that's
with the silk border, which is, look at that, it's beautiful.
That's beautiful. And we did try, you know, because I was so intrigued by, you know, how you classify your neutrals to red-based neutrals, contemporary neutrals, and how there's so many different varieties within neutrals. And it's very similar to our business, in fact, because, you know, we work with palm reference colors, wool samples and silk samples, and, you know, there's so many shades of gray, and you know, that's why I think, you know, some of our most successful collections are the grays, because we offer, you know, several different. You can see behind here's 3 of the grays, the grays that complement different paint-based color tones. So maybe that's something you could elaborate on a little bit about how.
Well, these I mean,
gray, but they're not.
So for a long time, we used to have 4 neutral groups, neutral families at Farrow. And because of that huge kind of demand for grays, we had to expand it. So, and essentially, it's a starting point. It's what I call the building blocks for most people to start their kind of paint selection. But by actually classifying all the neutrals, because sometimes if you open a color chart, and it depends on your perception of color, you're just kind of seeing this sea of off-white, and you don't quite get the nuance behind it. So obviously, we've got very kind of self-explanatory things like the yellow neutrals or the red-based neutrals. But then obviously, if you read into the stuff, there's 3 neutral groups that all cover the gray families. So architectural, contemporary, and easy. So they're all kind of the gray bias. And then we've got our traditional neutrals, which are some of the Farrow's first colors from our first original 57 colors. And they're all slightly gray, green-based. So once you get to understand, and they're all quite self-explanatory when you look at the color chart. So if you're using a dark green on the wall, then, you know, it kind of feels logical to maybe look at the traditional neutrals, because you know they're going to complement it if you don't want to use a crisp, sharp white. And obviously the red-based neutrals, none of them are shockingly red. They just have an underlying tone. So don't be intimidated by going, I don't like red or I don't like yellow. It's just that kind of base note within the whites. So, you know, there's a level of warmth through them. And then what you've cleverly done, in fact, you've kind of flipped, or with our head of creative, Charlie, who I know works very closely with you, it's kind of almost flipped the convention on the head, because, you know, one of your rugs, Keeper's Red, you've actually put with the yellow-based neutrals, haven't you? So rather than kind of slipping it into the red-based neutrals, you know, so you've kind of played with the convention of how neutrals work. And that's what I was talking about earlier. There's that cross-pollination. So don't be constrained. These are, as I said, the building blocks. But I mean, literally, you can just play around and move all the combinations around. And the same with our neutrals. Don't just think because it's a yellow-based neutral, you need sort of yellows or sort of, you know, it will work. You know, they'll work with most colors in the palette.
But what we tried to do, I'm not sure if you would agree on all of them, but what we tried to do in our catalog that we produced together with you is to try and match some of the complementary neutrals with some of the paint colors. And I think on this page, they're traditional neutrals and contemporary neutrals. And I think it was very cleverly done. I can't take any credit for it, but how you have the paint chips here and you have the color rugs that perhaps are just a representative of what could go with those contemporary traditional neutrals and contemporary neutrals, for example.
I'm just trying to think where I've got some on the floor. I told you I've got stuff everywhere. So yeah, I mean, actually, even nicer seeing in the flesh. I don't know how well that translates. So these are your two colors, beautiful colors, and then these are the neutral groups, the traditional neutrals. So this is just obviously one example. So you can see it with that. You know, that's just kind of very tonal. And then, as you say, you know, your kind of accent color. So you've got this, which is Lots Blue, is it? This one, I think.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just beautiful. So it's, you know, this is obviously almost like an aqua, isn't it? I mean, it's looking quite strong on the screen, but there's kind of a green note through, which obviously then pulls the green undertones in the traditional group. So it's just really, really lovely.
It's great, obviously, to see them in person as well too, because it's hard to show on this call today. But you know, you guys in all of your showrooms in the U.S. and in Boston, we both have representation and have the rug samples and the Farrow ball paint colors available. So it's quite easy to have to play with.
It's a much nicer way of seeing it. I mean, even down to the basic level, if you're looking for one of our colors, we would always recommend sampling it. So you do need to see stuff in the flesh because obviously it responds differently in light. But yes, we've got 3 boxes, haven't we, of all the different cuts and the 15 colors. So the 12 original colors plus your 3 new colors.
Yes. And then, of course, combined with your wallpaper as well, too. I think, you know, it's sort of almost one-stop shopping, isn't it? If you really want to make your life easy.
Well, it kind of is, but I've got 2 black Labradors, and this I've just been playing with this. It's like playing with my girl's dog's ears, which is a slightly weird thing I do at night when they're sitting by my chair, as sort of honoring their master, whatever he says. But you know, there's this lovely tactility. So I mean, you know, I can just show this, and everybody's like, yeah, it's a rug. But actually, when you start to sort of feel it, you kind of just see that artisanal quality to it. It's just so beautiful.
Beautiful, handmade in Nepal, and easy to do in any size. You know, any size is basically is possible. So I think that's the other thing about, you can buy from stock, but you can also custom order the exact size. You can order the exact shape. You can order round. You can order square. No, yeah, and it's beautifully made, and using, you know, the dye masters, you know, obviously have to have this down to a science, as probably not as exact as your paint recipes, but definitely, you know, the colors do come out true.
Because you use vegetable dyes, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
So I mean, you know, are there variables? I'm assuming there are variables in vegetable dyes because they're probably not as stable, are they, as kind of synthetic pigments? Or
well, they've been at this for so long that they tend to figure out the right way to stabilize the dyes. But yeah, they do come out. You wouldn't have to do a strike off, for example, of the rug, because it would come out very almost exact to what we have here. So you can order with confidence. No, it's a super exciting collaboration. And we're delighted, and the more designers that learn about it, I think, you know, they're very excited about the endless possibilities that can be created.
Well, I'm going to ask you something now. So as you threw a curveball with the easy question, so you know you introduced 3 more colors. What was the reasoning behind? I don't know. I work for Farrow, but I don't know why the 3 new colors came out, because they're lovely. I mean, I'm absolutely crushing on this. So this is Leighton Teal, which is really beautiful, which I put with one of our neutrals, shaded white, and it's just gorgeous.
Well, I think when we launched the color part of the collection with Portland pink, for example, people were looking for a stronger pink.
Oh, you got the Portobello one here, yeah.
Then if you can see both of those on the screen, so then here on the right we have the stronger version. Yes,
that exactly. Kind of illustrates it.
So I think Portland pink we originally introduced, and then this stronger pink here I think Charlie and our team felt like we wanted something more saturated, and we talked about that with yellow the other day. Look at that palette. Yes.
So that's in Chira Blue and Salon Drab and pink ground. I mean, I'm a big fan of kind of browns and pinks. I think they look beautiful together.
Amazing.
So, but then that hit of Enchira there and that soft pale pink is just a really lovely combination. It's a gorgeous color, the Portobello.
And then the same thing with the bay blue, a deeper, more saturated blue. In the US, blue is very, there you go. Blue is
I'm like your glamorous assistant with the
exactly.
swatches. I'm just rocking up and holding swatches for you.
And then the cut, you have the cut loop sample there as well too.
I left that next door. I've only got so much floor space, James.
So this is very nice because it's sort of a varied pattern and a lower price point. But anyway, they're all gorgeous and super easy to use, and I think intriguing the way that you can work with the Farrow ball colors with, as we said in the beginning, the wonderful tones. And then I think was maybe one final question for you. You mentioned that beautiful color palette that you just showed. What are your go-to Farrow ball colors? And is there? I know it's very hard to put you on the spot to say that, but
it's not.
I have my favorites, and so you working with these, probably your favorites, like my favorite rugs, change from week to week. But currently, what are you loving?
I do have kind of temporary crushes on particular colors, but I think the ones that I always kind of go back to, Oval Room Blue is a classic for me. It's really elegant. It's kind of really good mid blue. It kind of just works in traditional, in modern. It's just a really beautiful, good blue. Like I said, I love browns, and actually the American market is really good for using brown. We in Europe are much more nervous of using brown as a wall color. But Mouse's Back is lovely. Again, it's quite mid-tone, but it's got a little bit of green, so it's not too muddy. I love Setting Plaster. Really good one for the bathroom because it makes you look really healthy, even if you've been having a few drinks the night before. It's a good color to wake up to. So that's always a winner. So I think Mouse's Back, Setting Plaster, Over in Blue, really beautiful, and they all look fantastic together.
Oh, amazing! Yeah. Yes, and as I'm sure many of us do, sitting there with the Farrow ball color card, going through right before I go to sleep, trying to find what's going to go with downpipe, or if I paint my bathroom stiff key blue, what's going to be the perfect trim color for that. So yes, the rugs add one extra layer dimension to that. You
never need to panic, James. You just come to us and we book in one of our color consultancies. So you can have that on the house. I'll come and do your house for you.
Thank you, Patrick. That was great. And anything else that you wanted to add or touch on that we didn't get a chance to speak about?
No, I mean, if you're happy, because obviously we haven't looked at all the lovely colorways. But I don't know if you want to talk more about the individual colorways or whether you're just happy if that's enough content for you to.
I think maybe the journey. Maybe we can talk a little bit about the journey and how you would work with how your color consultants work and how they could work with. How do your color consultants work with the paint and the wallpaper and the rugs? What would be a typical approach that they would take or recommend the designers take?
So I suppose the nice thing about color consultancy is if you don't want to commit to a full interior design service, it's amazing how transformative color can be. I mean, just for example, this room, I'm basically at my mother's house at the moment. This room was a really sort of bland off-white, and it just looked really cold for some reason. It's east facing, so I painted this sort of yellow color, so and it just, everything came to life. The furniture started resonating better, the artwork looked better on it. So I think the great thing about color consultancy is you can just introduce color to make a difference to a room, and maybe repositioning a little bit of art, maybe shifting a bit of furniture, but it's not the whole where you suddenly feel like you're going to get sold new curtains, new furniture, new lamps. It's not going to cost you $40,000. It's it's a $250 experience. Than your product. But suddenly you've got 4 new rooms at the end of it, and you're like, wow, this is literally just color. And wallpaper can come into it, or it doesn't have to. So it's just a nice kind of light way of reconsidering your room. And we've all been locked down a little bit, we've all been stuck at home, so we're reevaluating how we live. So colors actually become much more important to all of us. We're all looking around how we live in our homes, and so we want colors to make us feel better. So yellows are kind of energizing, greens and blues are very relaxing, which is what we all need. We need to switch off, we need to feel calm, we need to feel restful. So that stuff, you bring that stuff, that conversation into the mix. Client comes, my room feels really cold, I feel really uncomfortable in here. What can you do? Okay, let's bring a lovely soft pink or a really gentle green in. And it's understanding the lighting conditions too, because those are massively important when it comes to how paint will respond. Will it flatter? Would it look drab? So it's just having somebody with the knowledge to understand how colors will work in a room, and the aspect. And when I talk about the aspect, I mean north, south, east, west kind of thing. So
it's really interesting. I always like to have. I tend to move house more than probably most people, and I always have to start with a red room. I like one room that's more, usually one like a smaller office or something, to be a red room. How do you think most people think about color that way, in terms of, I'm sort of a neutral person in general, but then I do.
Are you? Okay.
I do like those bold color areas where you can walk in and go, wow, red ceiling, red walls, and an amazing, beautiful rug on the floor.
We discussed at the beginning of this, and you just said too that most people are quite comfortable in the neutral zone, but I kind of think committing to color, if that's your kind of norm, feels kind of like a really sort of wild commitment. So I always think start small. So as you say, maybe a small home office or a downstairs loo/powder room, depending on who I'm talking to, and then just see how you get on with it. Because in the office, you don't want anything too distracting, because you need to focus. Whether you're data driven, you probably want sort of a nice mid blue, so you're kind of focused and not kind of distracted by a wall color. But downstairs downstairs powder rooms are a great place to absolutely go for it, because they're kind of transient places. So have a ball, paint your ceiling in a dark color, and then you're not committing. If you kind of go, I can't live with this, probably 2.5 litre, 1 gallon, and it's kind of back to how it was. So, I definitely start small.
Yes, my painter was not very happy when I chose stiff key blue for the powder room with the lacquer finish on top of it.
It looks beautiful, but yes, I can't imagine many decorators being too happy, because it's about 5 coats, I think, isn't it, to get it perfect?
And then boat varnish on top of that. So yeah, it was.
Oh my goodness!
It was quite a labor of love putting that in. Luckily, to your point, it was a small room, and I loved it. But a future owner could probably easily, or I don't know about easily, but could strip it away. So.
But that's really interesting, James, because you were talking about your lacquer room, and I follow a lot of US interior designers, and I see lacquer coming up all the time, and it's such a beautiful application. And actually, it's a really clever application, especially if your room's quite starved of light. I'm not saying it's going to make it feel lighter, but it will help bounce the minimal light around in a room, so it lets light travel a bit, and it looks exquisite. But decorators probably don't like doing it, because it's a long-winded process. And if you do it on walls, you need the smoothest walls. Do not do it on rough plaster walls.
Yes, I just did for my sunroom in Connecticut, blue green.
Yeah.
With your what is the high gloss called? What do you call it?
It's full gloss. So yeah,
full gloss. So I did it with full gloss, and whenever it rains, it's amazing, because the rain that puddles outside reflects into the wall.
Oh wow, fantastic!
Amazing. So yeah, with my great rug company, Calypso Rug, it looks amazing. So there's endless possibilities with rug and paints, as we've talked about today.
Endless. And but going back again, what's so lovely is if you do want neutral walls, hence the collection applied to all the neutral. let the beautiful sort of rectangle or square on the floor be your pop of color rather than committing it to, you know, the four walls around you. You know, so have your nice sort of off-white walls, but then bring in, you know, a beautiful sort of, I mean, your rug here, which we don't really talk about, but this is such a beautiful, beautiful red, isn't it?
Amazing.
Your keeper's red. It's so rich. It's such a good red. Kind of a Bordeaux red, would you say?
What's that?
Like a Bordeaux, you know, claret kind of red.
Yeah, it's like a claret. Yeah, it's just gorgeous, and the silk also looks different depending on which direction you approach the silk. So
Yeah.
you have a dark side and a light side to the silk, and depending on how your light is in your room, you can orient the rug accordingly. But yeah, it's an amazing rug to use.
And on a walnut floor, I just think, you know, walnut wood or American oak, this would just look ravishing, wouldn't it?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Patrick, it was fantastic talking to you today. I appreciate you.
Well, lovely seeing you again, James.
Okay.
Make sure keep in touch next time you're in London.
Yes. Yeah. I'll be there in June. So
okay.
Maybe we can grab a drink. I would love that.
Lovely.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Patrick. Cheers.
Look after yourself. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Bye.